Today I've been to Sainsbury's because I needed some greeting cards. And greeting cards and gifts are something that are outside my budget now, so I only ever buy them on points. So I tend to go into Sainsbury's for cards because they've quite a nice card selection and I can buy them in nectar points. But I bought a few things while I was in there. So I bought potatoes because Green Genie were offering 30 pence back on Maris Pipers. So that was 1.59 and I've earned 30p back. I've also got some more crunchy peanut butter. This is one of my staples that I always keep in the cupboard and I always buy a jar when I go. It's something that's a good snack for me and it's relatively cheap. One of the things I'm struggling with at the moment is finding affordable meat. It's just getting ridiculous. I used to buy cooking meat, cooking bacon from Morrison's, and it was £1.29 for a pack. And it's basically regular bacon, but it's like all the bits. So it doesn't come out like rashers, but it's basically bacon. These are 500 grams, and they're £1 each. So I've bought two because meat's just become a joke. Normally, there are very few types of meat that I would normally buy full price, and I would still always buy the saver range because it's all you can afford. I would buy a bag of chicken breast normally. You get a pack, and then I would normally buy Morrison's Saver pork and beef mince, and the prices have just become an absolute joke. So the chicken in Morrison's is kind of still holding at £3.50, but I'm only going to buy it with gift cards when I get them, so I've got to hold off on that. And I've got a few in the freezer anyway, and normally it takes me about 3 months to get through a bag, so I'm not using a lot. The mince is another staple, but the price of it, I had a look in Sainsbury's, and it's like £6 a bag now. And I think the Morrison's one is still about £4.75. So again, I'm going to wait until I get Morrison's gift card, and then I will probably get some because I'm out. I've almost got nothing in the freezer meat-wise at all now. I don't eat a lot of meat. I tend to put a small amount in with whatever else I'm cooking veg-wise, and that's how I seesaw it. But I have almost nothing in now. So I've bought these two lots of bacon because for now, and because you don't see an awful lot of meat on yellow sticker anymore, I've just decided to go with it. So I bought all of this on nectar points. They're doing triple points at the moment if you spend over £10. And I did anyway because having bought all these things and then buying the cards, I spent £11.09. So I used £10 of nectar points, and then £1.09 I've put onto my new credit card, which is the John Lewis card that I've spoken about before, that means I'd have to pay that £1.09 back until October. So that's how we're seesawing things. On the walk back, I found this on the pavement. You would be surprised at the amount of stuff. This is good for another, it's 2025. You'll be surprised at the amount of stuff that I find dropped on my walkabouts. I was going to do a little montage of what I called skip diving, but it wasn't skip diving. Oops. It was just things that I found in my travels. The amount of clothes that people drop, the unopened food that people drop that's like only been dropped that day. I don't mean stuff that's been there for weeks. And I find it quite extraordinary, particularly now with everything so expensive. So I don't know what's the matter with people, that they just seem to be happy just throwing things away that are perfectly good. When we're in a cost of living crisis, it just surprises me. Anyway, I might add my little montage of it's clothing items that I've rescued from pretty much from the street, really. But it's amusing. And I can't help myself, you know. if I see something drop that's usable, I can't help but pick it up. I just can't waste stuff. What can I say? It's just the way I am. When I was walking back, there was a big skip outside somebody's house where someone's having some home renovation done, and there was loads of big bubble Jiffy wrap in it. And I was going to stop and ask if I could take it all, but I have so many bags of packaging, free packaging that my parents have given me, which is supposed to be for my business, but of course sales are really low, so I'm practically drowning in packaging. So I didn't stop. I would have done if I'd needed it, but I have so much packaging at the moment. I could do with selling a few things, but hey ho, that's not happening either. One of the most important lessons I learned from the pandemic was the importance of stockpiling. When things were tight, particularly back in 2020 when a lot of the shops were shut and there weren't any products coming through, the one thing I noticed was how people just looked after themselves. I remember all the stories about like nurses working long shifts and then going to the supermarket to try and buy food, and the shelves had been cleared, and I remember supermarkets having to put limits on certain products, and I remember seeing people parking up in the street opposite where I live and seeing them coming back to their cars and filling their cars with toilet rolls and then going back to another shop or the same shop and coming back with another load. I don't understand what the obsession was with toilet rolls. There are other things you can do, and I hadn't realised just what a ridiculously privileged society we had become and how fragile we had become to just getting by and doing things differently. We've become so mollycoddled by retailers that you have to do things a certain way, or that you have to have the best of the best, that you have to have things with minimal time expense, so ready meals and things like that. So since 2020, I mean, I've always been a little bit of a food stockpiler, but I never used to buy on deals. I just used to buy loads of stuff and fill the freezer up. But now, every time I go into the supermarket, the first place I go is the reduced to clear aisles to see what's there. And if I see something that, you know, maybe tins that I can put in the cupboard, or maybe it's vegetables that I can blanch and put in the freezer, then I will. And now that I am, you might be able to tell I'm actually cooking lunch at the moment, and almost everything that I'm cooking, all the vegetables have come out the freezer. They're things that I have bought that I've seen on deal, and I have bought up a number of, and I've chopped it all up, blanched it and put it in the freezer. Because at the moment, because I am only shopping for yellow stickers and I'm trying to have a no spend budget, and because of the way things are with the prices rising and there's less stock and what have you, it's getting harder and harder to find those discounted items, where sometimes I would be pushing a trolley back from the supermarket because I couldn't fit everything in the bags that I'd taken with me. Now I'm lucky to get a handful of items, and I've got very used to just making do with whatever's available. So I'll go into the supermarket, I'll see what's on the yellow sticker aisle, and if there's nothing, I go back empty-handed. I will go round the stores and check because I know where all the key places are. And yeah, so I will just see what's there. And if there isn't anything there, then I don't get anything. And if there's stuff there that I wouldn't normally buy, but I do buy it because I know I can store it and I can find ways to use it, and I'll buy it. So some weeks I get really random things, like, I don't know, weird flavoured mayonnaise, or, you know, all sorts of stuff, all sorts of random stuff. But and then you just make up recipes with it. I'm very good at because I scratch cook all the time, I'm used to just throwing random ingredients and things together and making a meal. And because I don't know what I'm going to get when I go to the supermarket, it means I end up making some really interesting things. And that's fine. I'm perfectly happy with that. What it does mean, however, is that because I don't have just everything I want on hand, it means when I do get something that's unusual, say for instance, let's say there's a cashback app deal on cheese. Now I love cheese. Cheese is one of my favourite things in the world, but I never have cheese because cheese is expensive. I think of it as a luxury, and I only buy it when it's really cheap on the reduced to clear or there's a special money back offer. So when I do get some cheese, that's a really special thing, and I really make the most of it, and I enjoy it, and I love it. And that means that I'm enjoying that thing far more than if, I just buy cheese every week and I stuff myself with cheese. It's really special. One of the other things that I never get to do, because it's out of budget, is eating out. Never eat out at all. On the few occasions where I do, it's because someone else is paying, and that'll usually because mum and dad want to go out to celebrate, it might be an anniversary, it might be joint anniversaries or a birthday, and dad's paying. And I find restaurant visits one of the most fun things to do. I love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the whole process of looking through menus and ordering food. I love that food's been cooked for me, because that never happens either. I do all the cooking now. So that whole process and the social aspect of it, and I can spend hours in a restaurant because I just love the process. I don't just go in, stuff my face and leave. It's the whole process that goes with it. And I was brought up where we used to go out to restaurants quite a lot, so we were quite well-trained kids. And we spent hours in restaurants. There was never any rush. It wasn't just about going in there, eat and get out. It was an entire experience. And I still do that. So restaurants for me tend to be a couple of times a year. And I just have such fun. I absolutely adore it. And there are probably people watching this, or people in less similar situations will be thinking, how can you lead such a deprived life? It's not deprived going out and stuffing your face in a cheap restaurant. We all have different ways of doing things, and my life might not be as geared around spending money as some people, but I don't care. I would much rather do things than spend money. We've become trained to believe that in order to be having fun, in order to be doing things outside the home, that has to involve going somewhere and spending a lot of money. I like to go out into the countryside and walk. That doesn't cost anything except the petrol I have to pay to drive to that place. And I like to go and visit places. I'm quite happy walking around a town centre. I'm quite happy window shopping. That doesn't cost anything. And it reminds me just how expensive things are getting. But I don't have to physically go and spend the money. I don't feel deprived when I walk past a restaurant. It's like, it'd be really nice to go in there, but I don't have the money, or I don't. It's become more a case of I don't want to spend the money. I've become so acutely aware of the value of things, and that I'd rather have the money in the bank giving me peace of mind, covering emergencies, meaning that, say for instance, next week I need 2 tyres on my car. I'm not worrying about where I'm going to find the money for that, because I've kept all the money in the bank. So I don't worry about affording the things that I need, because I don't buy the things that I want. And it does become a way of life. Once you get out of the shopping habit and you get out of the addiction of spending money, of, go to Primark on a Saturday morning and just filling your bag with absolute rubbishy clothes that you probably won't ever wear. once you get out of that addiction and you stop listening to the rhetoric that retailers tell you, which is that you need to replace stuff and you need to have new and you need to have more, you stop wanting it. And I love that I've been freed from that situation where I don't impulse buy it. I don't feel the need to own stuff. It's just so liberating that I am not a slave to retailers covering their profit margins and paying their shareholders and what have you. Life just becomes simpler. It's just so much nicer. That last little section sounded like a bit of a rant, but I promise you it wasn't. It's just something that I felt that I wanted to say. But it has taken its time to get to the point of I have no interest in shopping and spending money anymore. Not because I'm tired, but just because I don't need that materialistic stuff anymore. I don't shop for the sake of it. It's not a pastime anymore. But I used to be like that. I used to go on loads of shopping hauls and end up with tons of clothes. I still have a lot of those clothes. I'm also one of those people that doesn't like to give their stuff away. So that's why I'm listing or trying to list and sell stuff on eBay now. I've suddenly got into this mindset of let's sell stuff on. I've had a ruthless clear out. So hopefully we'll make a few quid on that because I'd rather have the money for it. And it's stuff that I haven't worn in sometimes 15, 20 years, but I've developed this weird emotional thing about certain things that I can't let go. Maybe like the colour of like that yellow dress. Oh my God, I've finally listed the yellow dress. And they're almost vintage now because it's not like I'm selling this year's clothes. Anyway, so I found it very freeing to not have an interest in shopping for the sake of it. And I mean that in a really good way. I don't feel tied to expectation or advertising or brands. And I just feel happier for it. I wouldn't say I live a minimalist life at all as I look around at all the stuff that I've acquired over the years. A lot of it gifted, stuff that I would never normally buy myself. But I find it very hard to not be emotionally attached to things, especially gifts. So I try to be really careful about what I hang on to. And I don't have too many emotional connections to stuff I still own. Most of it's like business stuff now. But yes, I hope that weird little jumble of things was of interest. There's something else I'm going to post separately, which is to do with my windows being painted by the landlord, the letting agency. I've posted it as a separate quick upload because it's just perplexing, and there may be a part 2 to it, who knows. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please hit like. I never say please hit like, please subscribe. Subscribing doesn't cost anything. It's not like paying subscribers. I can't do that because I don't have enough followers anyway, so I can't do any of that monetization type stuff anyway. But subscribing just means that you see when I post something up, it'll put it into your feed that I've put a new post up. But at least hit like, because it does, I think it makes a difference. And I'm not here to make money out of this channel. This is just me having somewhere to spout my random rubbish, really. And hopefully help a few people to maybe live a better life, or a simpler life, or a less moneyfied life. I'm not sure. There's a lot of channels like mine out there now, but I like the authentic base quality of channels like mine that are literally just people picking up their phones, shooting, doing some basic editing and getting on with it. I'm no expert, but I think that sites like YouTube create good opportunities for people to help each other. And I've found all sorts of help and tips and inspiration from people around me doing exactly what I do, just trying to live their best life, their cheapest life, trying to negotiate what's going on this year. I wish I'd been running this channel a few years ago in COVID. I think it would have been really interesting to see, looking back now and then going back over over those really traumatic times. But I only started, well, was it last December? I'm now in month 6 for me. Half a year. I've been here half a year already. It's just bonkers. It's gone so fast. But anyway, so yes, like I say, like, subscribe, show your support for crazy people like me who think that other people might be interested in their lives. Catch up soon.